And we are good. All right, guys. So I'm so excited because we have Miss Larissa. Okay, it's Coonley, right?
It's Cunley, but
Conley.
it's okay because everybody says it that way.
I know. I had one of those last names. My maiden name was one of those last names. Like it was just a little vowel. Everyone would mess it up.
You know, on the
Well,
National Wake Up Call when he says my name, he calls me Larissa. So
oh no.
yeah, so it's okay.
All right. Well, the cool thing about Larissa and I is we totally met through the internet. But I fortunately met her in person multiple times. But gosh, it must have been about a year ago, maybe a little bit more. Our corporate mentor put us into little pods, Mary's Rock Stars. And so that was how I got the opportunity to meet Larissa. And so we masterminded a lot together. I've just kind of watched her grow and just blossom into this, like, from her social media and confidence. And she's just killed it. So she's a 3-star diamond. She's the leader of a 2020 premier team. She is a Success Club All-Star legend. Not only a legend, but she has been in Success Club for 44 months straight, which is freaking awesome. And she used to be a hairstylist and a bartender. And so from what I've observed too, I know she is a busy mom. She's got 2 girls and military family. So moving is something that is no stranger to them for sure. And so she's going to chat with us about just more confidence, overthinking, but taking that confidence and not overthinking and putting it towards your social media, which is essentially, we all know, it's our storefront. It's how we run our business. We don't have a place where we pay rent on it. Our social media is that. So Larissa, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you. Hold on, because you just gave me one more quick note to just like make sure that I mentioned. So just hold on like that. All right, there we go. Okay. So hi guys. Thank you so much for having me. Lauren said come as you are on Saturdays. So this is me sleepy in my kids' playroom this morning. So I thought I would start out just really quick with a little bit about my story, how I got started with coaching and everything like that, and then get into like the nitty gritty of my topic, right? So I have technically been a coach. I signed up as a coach. It'll be 5 years at the end of February. I was somebody who was constantly, like, I never did anything with health and fitness. I was actually never overweight or anything like that. I never had any weight loss issues or weight gain issues or anything like that, which always made me feel like I never had to do anything for my health, right? Like when I was growing up and like I got pregnant when I was 19 and had my daughter, and I lost the baby weight and got back into my clothes. And I know people like hate me when I say that, but when I say that, it didn't, by no means doesn't mean that I was healthy, right? Like I barely ever ate. I was always exhausted. I constantly was working 2 or 3 jobs at a time, and things like that. So in my head, because of the society we live in, right? I'm like, oh, well, I fit into a size 2. So I don't need to work out. I don't need to eat healthy. I can go eat a burger and blah, 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 because that's just how, we're taught, right? Is like, if you're skinny, you're good. Until my daughter was 1. And my husband was being deployed. We had just gotten married in November, and he was being deployed in January of 2015. And I had a 1-year-old. I was serving and bartending full time. I'd never been on my own. I was 20 years old, or 20 years old. And I was so freaking exhausted. I was so tired all the time. I just, would go to work, come home, sleep. I'd be so grumpy with my 1-year-old, and I wouldn't want to like get her up from her nap because I just wanted to like sleep on the couch by myself and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, this is when something has to change. And I was the Beachbody hater. I had a coworker who was a coach. Her name was Shauna, and she had just started Beachbody, and we'd be around the restaurant and she'd be talking about it and stuff and be like, oh my God, you're so annoying. Like, it's like, shut up. She'd like invited me, I think, once on Facebook. And again, I had that kind of mindset. I was like, no, like, I don't need to lose weight. Like, I looked at Beachbody and everything as like only losing weight, right? Like this weight loss, quick fix kind of thing. I'm like, are you ridiculous? Like, I don't need that. And she kept posting about this freaking superfood shake and all that kind of stuff. And for a while I kind of ignored it, but it kept popping up, and she would bring it and make it at work and stuff. And I started to kind of look into it more. I'm that person who I'm never going to reach out, but I'm going to go research it on my own before you ever even know that I'm interested. So those people are out there. And I started looking into it, and I realized, it's more of a superfood shake. It's, not a protein shake, So I reached out to her about that. I was actually one of those people who just wanted Shakeology. I didn't want workouts. I didn't want 21 Day Fix or anything like that. But 21 Day Fix, first of all, I said no first when she told me the price. And then I went for 2 weeks, and I researched, broke it down. I was like, oh, well, that's only $4 a day. And I wanted to do it. Challenge pack was obviously like $10 more. This is before Beachbody On Demand. This is when we had like DVDs and stuff, and all ghetto, right? But it was $10 more for the challenge pack. So I was like, screw it, I'll get the challenge pack. And I signed up as a coach strictly for the discount because of the military discount, right? Like I remember the day I signed up as a coach, she posted about me, tagged me, welcomed me as a new coach, and I untagged that shit so quick. Sorry, I don't know if I hear yours, but I was like, like, nope. I was like, I'm not like a coach. I'm like, I just want the discount. Like, no. And I remember going to work that night, and we're in like a little pass bar thing, and a coworker is like, oh, I saw you join Shauna's Beachbody thing. And I was like, no. I was like, that will never be me. I'm like, I just need to get healthier. I just want to feel better. Like, that will never be me. Okay. And, happened. So obviously 21 Day Fix and everything changed my life. I just started kind of like genuinely sharing about it. And, it's like, once you help that first person, I was, again, a single mom at the time because Jason was deployed, and coaching and Beachbody gave me something like, back then, it gave me something to focus on, right? Like it was a hobby for me for a while, and it was just something that was like a lot of fun. I'd make a little bit of money here and there, but it kept me busy. It kept me focused, right, on other things, and it made me a better mom. It made me more energetic and stuff like that. But I was a discount hobby coach for about 2 years. And when that changed was when I got pregnant with our second daughter. And that was in like December of 20. Well, okay, so when I was halfway pregnant with my daughter, I realized when I was pregnant with my first daughter, I had to go back to work after I had her at 4 weeks. Like literally, you guys, I was still, I don't know how many of you guys are moms, but I was still wearing the big freaking maxi pads because I was bleeding, because I was only 4 weeks postpartum for my first baby, and I was back at work serving and bartending tables. And I was full-time breastfeeding, and I had to do that. And then I was back at work full-time at a medical office from 8 to 5 by the time she was 7 weeks old. And that was our life. And we were exclusively breastfeeding. It was really hard. It was really hard on me emotionally. And I didn't want to do that with my second daughter, right? Like I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to have to go back to work at 4 weeks or 7 weeks and things like that. So that's when I really looked at this as like an opportunity of like, if I actually leaned into this and if I actually ran with this, this could be something. So throughout my whole pregnancy is when I really built my business. And I just realized now, like, I didn't know this back then because I acted like I was a freaking diamond coach back then. Like I had hit it and I had lost it already, but I acted like I had this like super amazing business. Holly Hillier was actually pregnant with me at the same time, and we were in a lot of pregnancy groups, and I had the confidence back then. I was like an Emerald coach, and I had the confidence back. I'm like, who's this Holly chick? Like this is before she was like in the top 10 or anything like that. I think, who's this Holly chick? Like, no girl, like I got this. I'm going to talk to these people. Like, and then she like whoosh, but that's the thing is like, I went forward with it where I was just like, I am going to build this into a business so that I don't have to go back to work. And I built it all throughout my pregnancy. I got my diamond back when I had Elliot, and she was like 3 weeks old. And after I had her, I went back to work for like a couple days to see kind of what I wanted to do. And I was like, you know what? Coaching has brought me this income. At that point, coaching had replaced my serving and bartending income, which was about $500 a week at the time. And I was like, I could do this. Like I could actually quit and be home with my kids and work full-time, or not work full-time, coach full-time. And I'm somebody, you guys, I'm not stay-at-home mom type, and like power to everyone that is, but like it was never my dream to just stay home with my kids. Like I want to be home with my kids. I want to have the freedom with my kids. I want to have freedom of schedule, but I love to work. I love to have projects to work on. I love to work with other people. I love to like do those kinds of things. It's just who I am as a person, you know? So I loved that. I loved that coaching could bring me something that I can still, you know, work and not give up my passion or not give up my purpose outside of motherhood and not give up my income, but be able to go to my kids' class for, you know, parent volunteering and stuff like that, you know? So anyway, that was like all super freaking scattered, but long story long was I started as a discount coach, and then I wanted absolutely nothing to do with Beachbody and things like that. So never discount those people, right? And I actually found a video a couple days ago of when I started coaching. It was 4 years ago, and I was doing a video for my challengers or something like that. My voice is completely different. My demeanor is completely different. I'm so freaking nervous, and I'm like shaking. I'm like, "Hi guys." So so it's like coaching has brought this amazing confidence that I don't think I would have, along with like income and freedom and things like that. So I know that was like real scattered, but that's a little bit about me. And also my husband is in the military, and he just recently got retired from the military because of injuries. He's injured. And if it wasn't for coaching, like I wouldn't be able to have been able to take care of him when he had his surgeries and stuff like that. We just moved to Connecticut, and it was amazing to be able to move here and not have to like find a new job and stuff like that. Anyway, so that's a little bit of my story. I'm a little scattered. I should really plan that out more. But the topic I wanted to talk to you guys about today, we'll back up real quick. A topic that I normally talk about on team calls and kind of what my strength is like growing through what you go through. So like when life hits you hard and like you go through really hard things like deployments, or your husband, I'm going from my story, husband getting double hip surgery and he can't walk for 9 months, or you're moving across the country twice, or things like that, like pushing through, digging deep into your business and stuff like that. That's normally what I talk on, but I didn't even want to mention that because you guys, honestly, your upline here, Lauren, she freaking kills it on that. So like when I was moving from Delaware to Connecticut is when her whole like kitchen thing was happening, and I was getting inspiration from Lauren. So I just want to share that pay attention to the things that she's doing and how she's pushing through and using her life kind of situations to share, because everything she does and says is so freaking helpful. So I just want to say that because that's usually kind of what I talk on, but I was like, I'm not going to talk about that. They have Lauren. I'm like, they don't need that. So anyway, I wanted to say that. But, and when we were talking about what I should talk about on this team call, Lauren mentioned, she's like, I think you do a really good job at social media. And it was funny because I told her, I was like, really? I was like, because that's something I feel like I'm struggling with these days. And that started getting me to thinking about social media and overthinking, and like how we look at maybe other people's stuff and we compare what we're doing on social media, and we compare what we're doing, what we're posting or what we're not posting, or we're so focused on what other people are posting or things like that, right? When it comes to social media. So I started thinking about my journey with sharing on social media over the last 4 years as a coach. And what I really want to talk to you guys about is when it comes to overthinking on social media. Like, does anybody, I mean, I know we don't see a lot of faces right now, and that's okay, but like, or drop it in the chat or something. If you ever feel like you don't know what to post on social media, you don't know if you're going to do it right, you're nervous that it's not like valuable enough, so then you don't post at all, or you don't know what to post, so you wait a couple days between posting, like things like that, right? Like you're just like all up in your head. And I can say this as being a coach for almost 5 years now, that so many things have changed and everything's going to continue to change. But that's when we get all up in our head, right? That's when we get up all in our head. When I started coaching, it used to be, you need to post 3 to 5 times a day. And this was before stories. You need to post 3 to 5 times a day. And then it was like, oh no, you need to post every other day. It's like, oh no, you need to post every single day. And then we hear all these rules, right? There's so many freaking trainings, so many rules, so many yes, do this, so many no, don't do this. And then especially as like a new coach, or like if you're just like finding your footing, you're like, what the hell do I do? And you're just like, and then you're constantly all up in your head, and you think you're working in your head. You think you're like actually like getting somewhere and doing things, but then you're not actually putting it into action. So then you're just going to be at a standstill, and you're like, why isn't my business growing? Why aren't people engaging with me? Why aren't people following me? Why aren't people getting to know me? And it's because you're not actually showing up, because we're all up in our head about what to do, what not to do, how to word it, how not to word it. Like, what am I doing wrong? Am I doing it like this person? All that kind of stuff, right? Well, I'm just making sure. But then we feel paralyzed, and we get kind of like analysis paralysis, right? So I got stuck in that. I really did. Memories on Facebook, sometimes they can be so terrible. Sometimes they can be really great. And a couple months ago, a couple months ago, I was really all up in my head about posting. I was, and I'd been a coach for a couple years. I built this business to, I think I was like 1-star diamond. Like I built the business. I've hit Success Club for however many months, right? So like my business is steady and growing, but I was all up in my head about posting because all these freaking rules and changes were coming out. And then I was just like, what I knew wasn't right anymore. And I'm like, but then I don't know what I know and all these kinds of things. So I was all up in my head, and I didn't realize I was all up in my head until my memories started coming up through Facebook. And I start looking at my memories, and it's almost like I was having like an out of body experience, because I was like reading all these old posts I had from like 2016, 2017, maybe even 2018, where I was just like, oh my God. I was like, I was showing up. And like, there was not a day in my memories that I did not pop up with some sort of tip, piece of our life, funny, just quick little quote, like music, like just something, right? Just something showing up. And I'm sitting there wondering, like, why am I not building relationships or having as many like friends and stuff on social media now as I was back then? And I realized it's because I wasn't showing up as much. And this is also where I feel like Instagram and Facebook stories has helped us so much, but also kind of shot us in the foot, because sometimes I feel like we think that Instagram stories and showing up on Instagram stories every day replaces us showing up on our feeds. And I'm going to tell you right now, it does not. Okay. It does not. This is my take on that. And I'm all about the stories. Like I freaking love them, and I'm in them. I believe in them. Like that's where you're you, right? And this is something I tell my coaches very frequently is yes, post in the stories, do all the things in the stories, but you want to make sure that you are showing up on your feed, your Facebook and your Instagram feed just as much. Because look at it this way, say you share something in your stories that somebody like, somebody could seriously relate to. Like it is one of those days where you're just like on fire and you're like, I'm going to change someone's life. And it's this amazing, amazing thing. And Shelly, we're going to name her Shelly. Shelly would relate so freaking hard to what you're saying, but Shelly's not following you until tomorrow. Story's gone tomorrow, right? So what if Shelly comes to your page next week? Again, she's not going to see it unless you maybe save it to a highlight, but who knows if she's going to see your highlight. She's going to go check out your page. So a big tip I have for still showing up on your page and in stories and stuff is whatever you talk about in your stories, summarize it into a post as well. Okay. And I don't want you to overthink that, being like, oh my God, that's so many things. It's one thing. It's just in different places, because we never know. That's the thing, right? There's so many things on social media. There's stories, there's posts, there's groups, there's all these different kind of things. You don't have to overthink it and come up with brand new content for 75 different things. Just summarize it into a post so that if Shelly comes to your page, she sees it. And maybe you're just referencing what you talked about in your stories. Maybe you save that to a highlight. And then in your post, you say, go check out my, whatever it's called, highlight to see more about it. Then they're going to go see your highlight because you gave kind of that direction and call to action. Okay. Does that make sense? That's just a big tip I have with, not necessarily overthinking it, is just like keeping it simple. It's the same thing that you're just doing a couple other places. Okay. And that's what's going to help you kind of keep building relationships, because I have so many people, and I'm guilty of doing this too, right? Is like, we just show up in our stories and we're like, why is my business not growing? Like, and you have like 42 people that are watching your stories and 15 of them are coaches on your team, like, well, like that's fine. You're like, okay, well, how do I drive more people to my stories? That's a whole nother training. Like, I get it. That's a whole nother training, but that's the thing, is that you got to kind of go through different avenues. Okay. So, I'm going to jump to, sorry, I went on the whole story thing, but I'm going to jump ships to one more thing too, is this whole comparison game and overthinking game. I want to give you guys a realization I've had the longer I've been into this business and the longer that I've met people and other leaders through this business, is do not compare yourself to people based off their following or what you think they know as a leader. Okay. I have met people in this business who I idolized, quote unquote, from Instagram and stuff like that. And then come to find out they don't actually know a lot about this business. Like they don't know a lot of the details. They don't know how like certain things work or things like that. I've seen people with 30,000 followers on Instagram who from the outside think is like absolutely a freaking genius unicorn person who is struggling to hit Success Club every month. And then I've seen people with 1,500 followers who are like in the top 200 of the company, and like are making more income than most people. You know what I'm saying? So like, don't have that realization that everyone in this business is human and they're all real people and we all have other struggles. Cause I think that's something like when we overthink and get in our head too, like, well, I don't have 15,000 followers. How am I supposed to get more people to watch my stories? My audience just isn't big enough and I'm going to fail at this business and blah, 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 blah. Get out of your head. Don't overthink it, because I'm telling you right now, I think my business was actually doing better before I hit 10,000 followers than it was after I hit 10,000 followers, because people are more intimidated the more followers that you have. It's less of a personal connection the less follower or the more followers that you have. Okay. So look at everything you have as a strength, not a weakness, because that's what's going to help you, and get out of your head about that comparison game. Okay. All right. So another quick thing about overthinking when it comes to social media, and I had that realization that I was like all up in my head, right? That I went from posting every single day, just something simple again, to posting every couple days, because I felt like every single post had to be this beautiful, beautiful Lightroom preset photo with some meaningful, heartfelt story, and that was it. Like I was like, those are the only things I can post now. That's it. That's what Instagram and Facebook has become. Just gonna roll with it. And it wasn't working. And it wasn't working. And I was like, why isn't this working? And I realized, and then I started attracting coaches, right? Like I still was growing, but then I would get coaches on my team. And then I realized my new coaches on my team, that's what they would start doing. They felt like they couldn't post unless it was some huge, meaningful post. And it was duplication in all the wrong ways, right? Because then my new coaches aren't posting. So if you're overthinking, the coaches that you add to your team are also going to start overthinking. If you feel like it's going to be really difficult to connect with people, they're going to feel like it's really difficult to connect with people. If you feel like every post has to be perfect, they're going to feel like every post has to be perfect, and they're brand freaking new, and then they're going to overthink times 100. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with those big, meaningful blog style posts, right? Like Lauren's really, really good at them. And honestly, I don't read a lot of them, but I read yours, Lauren. They're really good. And but it's because not every single one of them is like that. You know what I mean? You got to throw in some quick, just like personal things. Whatever you're thinking, this is my tip, you guys. Whatever you're thinking and whatever you're doing, just share about it, right? That's our power in this social media platform, is that yes, we're here to change lives. We're here to inspire people and help them kind of have those aha moments through our through what we share. But also we're here just to kind of like we're here to like get to know people. Like Lauren said, our social media is our storefront, right? So yes, it's important to have, for sure, call to actions and invitations and things like that. But it's also important to let people kind of see who you are. What are your funny, just like quirks or traits or things like that? Like everyone on my social media knows I wait till last freaking minute to do everything. They call me last minute Larissa. Well, I called myself that, and now it's just kind of a thing. But I wait till the last minute to do everything. I posted about it yesterday. Just like, what are your little things about you that like only your best friends would kind of know, or that only, you know, people that know you in real life would know? Jot those down, brain dump those things. What are those things that you like kind of laugh about with yourself that are just like, it's like one of those things where it's like, it's so ridiculous, like you just have to laugh at yourself kind of thing. Talk about those things, share those things, laugh at yourself in a good way, like things like that. Share a quote you read from your personal development. One thing I got away from a lot that I noticed when my memories started coming up was I would always share my workouts. And then when Instagram stories came around, I stopped sharing my workout videos because I was sharing them in Instagram stories. And when I was looking at my memories, I realized most of my engagement actually came from sharing my workout videos with like my kids working out with me, or me sharing my food or things like that. So another tip that I have with not overthinking and repurposing content is I've started doing this, taking the stuff from your stories. Like I literally save my stories posts from Instagram and I post them on my Facebook feed. And it's going to do a couple of things. It's going to give people kind of an inside look to your stories. So people that aren't following you on Instagram can go, you know, see your Instagram. And two, it's going to give them a little bit more of the sense for the people that aren't following you on Instagram. It's going to give them a little bit more sense into you, right? Like the real you and the behind the scenes view and like things like that. Facebook does not have to be pretty. My mindset, to be completely honest, my mindset is I treat Instagram stories and my Facebook feed kind of similar. You know, like if you go on vacation or something like that, you're not going to post 50 posts on your Instagram feed of all your vacation pictures. You're going to post them in your story as you're doing them. But on Facebook, I would post all of those vacation pictures because that's like, I kind of look at Instagram stories and Facebook as the same kind of thing. And then I look at my Instagram feed more as like again, kind of like, I don't want to say blog style thing, but kind of like an archive a little bit. Like if you meet somebody, I don't know if you guys have kids, but this is just the example I'm giving. If you meet somebody, actually, no, we're not gonna do the kid thing. If you meet someone at the grocery store, or if you meet somebody at a party, or if you go to an event, and there's a speaker that you want to get to know, where are you guys gonna go? Are you going to go check out their Facebook to get to know them? Or are you going to go check out their Instagram and check out their feed to get to know them and see kind of the things that they share? You're going to go to your Instagram because it's quicker to get to know them. So make sure that in your Instagram feed, like people are just getting to know you and it doesn't have to be perfect. I want you guys to get away from feeling like it has to be perfect because it's so much better. I wrote a note about this. Hold on, let me make sure I say it right. It's better to show up too much with energy and excitement than to not be consistent with showing up at all. Okay? That's when it feels salesy, is when people only see you every so often to give them a sales pitch, right? That's when it gets salesy, is when people only see your workout posts, or people only see your food posts, or people only see your call to actions, or people only see your coach wins. That's when it starts to feel salesy, and that's when it starts to feel like you're only here to sign up challengers and coaches. And like, yes, we are here to help. We're here to help people and inspire them and try to get them to join us, right? But we're also here to show that we're human, and we're also here to show like we can be friends, and like I'm an actual person and I love what I do, and share your passion and your excitement. If you're sharing things that you're excited about and energetic about, that's going to speak so many more volumes than a perfectly orchestrated post. And this might be opposite of what you guys might be hearing in trainings and things like that, of like, you need to have a perfect preset, which like, I'm all about the presets. I'm all about the beautiful pictures. I get it. But like all about, that's what you might hear in a lot of trainings, right? Like it needs to be super visually appealing, which isn't a bad thing. And you want to make sure that it's hitting home, not a bad thing. But also that's why I got in my head, is because I was like all these trainings in my ear, and I started getting away from the things that made me excited about connecting with people. And then a really good thing about connecting with people and being yourself on your social media is that when you talk to people, they already kind of feel like they know you. Right? You want people to know things about you besides that you work out, eat healthy, and help people and help build your business, right? So it's nice when you talk to people because they kind of already know a little bit about you, and it cuts the conversation down a little bit, which is actually really helpful. So hold on. What matters is your energy and your excitement with the things that you're sharing. People care what's in it about. People care about what's in it for them in things that you share, that you post, or things like that. So that's why I really like to share like a quick tip or something like that. Like if you guys go look at my social media at all, Facebook or Instagram, I shared a Valentine's Day craft that I did with my kids, right? 3 years ago, I would have posted that, no problem. The last couple of months, I wouldn't have done that because I would have been like, this doesn't serve my business. Like this doesn't help recruit people, blah, 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 blah. But I got back into my mindset of like, how can I help serve my audience in a way that they can take back into their own life? So I shared a Valentine's Day craft because maybe somebody needs a Valentine's Day idea for their kids or something like that. You know what I mean? So people care kind of about like what they can take and implement into their own life, right? Whether that's an early morning tip, whether that's a recipe, whether that is a recommendation on something, or whether that's a quote from your personal development that you're just kind of like passing along to hope that it makes somebody's day better. Something simple like that. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. And stuff like that. So people kind of really care about what's in it for them and how they're going to relate to it and what they're going to take back from it. Yeah. How can they relate? How can they implement? Share. Oh, and engagement tip that I have was kind of just sharing my stories to my Facebook feed. That's been helping with engagement. And then also, again, I summarize it into a post on Instagram, like go check out my stories for this today or something like that, to kind of drive traffic there. So that's a tip I have on helping drive traffic to your stories as well. Okay, so one more thing I have, or I guess not really one more thing, but kind of, is our social media is our storefront, right? And a really big reason it's important to show up on social media, again, not just with call to actions and things like that, but being you. A big reason is because as you're making connections and as you're building your audience and things like that, whether you do it through, I built a lot of my business through Facebook groups, like just meeting people through Facebook groups. But what I noticed was that as soon as I would make a friend off a Facebook group or Instagram or wherever I'm meeting people, or even in person, we just moved here and my kids started kindergarten, and you meet like a lot of peopling, but I mean, it's great, but it's a lot of people. I'm a really big introvert, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know. I don't think any of you guys know that. So I'm a really big introvert. But anyway, like you meet people. Then when you connect on Facebook or Instagram, the very first thing they're going to go do is they're going to scroll through your page, right? It's not what you posted today. It's going to be what you posted 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago or things like that. So you want to make sure that you're bringing value, that you're just being consistent and showing up and showing yourself and showing things that people can relate to. But the reason, so it's your storefront. So how am I wording this? Hold on, sorry. So it's going to be your storefront. So when people come and see it, right? But also that doesn't mean that you have to only meet people on social media is kind of what I was trying to get at. It's also for when you meet people in person, right? If you meet people at the school pickup line or in the grocery store, and I know that sounds weird, but you might meet some of the coolest people at the grocery store or the coffee shop, or I met a really cool girl at the airport and I was sweating, but I asked for her Instagram name and we connected on Instagram, like things like that. And it's about showing up with the same energy and passion and excitement that you have in your social media in person, and then connecting with them. And then you kind of help your social media kind of helps do a little bit of the work for you after you connected, if you're showing up with it as your storefront, if you're showing the value that you bring, if you're showing your passion that you have, if you're showing your excitement that you have. I can tell you guys right now, if we're overthinking things and we think it all has to be perfect and things like that, that's going to come off in the post that you have, right? It's going to come off with like that. It's a little bit stressful and stuff like that. But if you kind of release that feeling of fear and comparison, and if you release that fear of like pass or fail, right? Like we almost kind of feel like our posts have like a pass or fail kind of thing. It's not like that. If you release that, you're going to start having a lot more fun with the things that you share. And if you're having more fun with the things that you share and you're having more fun with social media versus looking at it as like just a check mark on your job, you're going to give out a way more fun energy and attract that back to you. Okay. And that's how you're going to make connections, especially with how things have changed over the last few years. People don't want to see just call to actions all the time, or just like I'm enrolling for my next group, or just like things like that, right? Like they want to see things where you're also engaging with them, right? Not where you're just like not where you're just asking for them to engage with you, right? So asking questions and things like that. I know this is like kind of scattered, that's how my brain works. But yeah, show up in person with the same energy, excitement, and passion that you would on social media. That's one thing that I've really started implementing a lot in the last year is you don't have to just meet the people on social media, okay? Meet people in person, but connect with them on social media, okay? So a couple of just like my like tips or bullet points that I wrote down was, one, keep it simple and just release some of that tension you might feel when it comes to social media, okay? At least try it for like a month. Try it for a month where when you feel it and you want to share it, like share it, especially when it comes to Facebook, because again, Facebook, I treat like my Instagram stories, literally. Like there'll be things I won't post on my Instagram feed, but I post on my stories and then it goes right back over to Facebook, like just my feed. Because I don't know, do people watch Facebook stories? I don't know if people actually watch Facebook stories.
My numbers are really low. I have some watching it, but I've found lately it's just guys I went to high school with, which creeps me out.
That's creepy. Yeah, no, thank you. My Instagram goes to like my like page stories, but I don't use my like page.
Yeah.
So it's just like, eh. So anyway, I treat my feed kind of like my stories. Again, repurpose and summarize your content, you guys. We feel like we have to do like that's more work, but honestly it's just the same thing in different platforms in different areas, because you don't know how somebody's going to find you. You don't know when they're going to find you, right? And if your stories are freaking gold and only 42 people are seeing it, the same 42 people, that's not going to help you. And then you're working harder versus smarter, right? Like I said, your dream team coach might not even come to your page for a month, right? So show up on your feed so that they're going to see it in a month, and they're not going to have like missed the boat, and you're just kind of like spinning your wheels showing up every day on stories, but it's not actually catching anybody's attention because it's the same 42 people, right? I don't know why I keep saying that number. And then be consistent with it, okay? There's that word that we hear 1,000 times in coaching is be consistent. Have it so, next year when your memories are popping up on Facebook, or 2 years from now or 3 years from now, when your memories are popping up on Facebook, you're like, I am valuable. Like I am helping people. Like there's times when sometimes literally I'll look at my stories from 2 or 3 years ago. I don't even remember posting it or sharing it. Also, I'm not even gonna lie, sometimes I repurpose it. Like I post it again. I'll like copy and paste with a new picture and tweak it to be like current. But I'll be like reading it and I'll get like inspiration from myself from something I posted like 2 years ago. But that I never would have posted that if I was overthinking about it being perfect. You know what I'm saying? When you feel it, just share it. Sometimes you guys, if you feel like a good idea, or I have a lot of ideas just like in the most random times when I can't actually sit and post something, I will get out the notes on my phone, type it out really quick, and post it like the next day or 2 days later or something like that. That's also an overthinking thing, is like, I have to post this right now. I have this idea and I need to get it out right this second. And then that moment passes and then you're like, oh, well, it's too late. I can't do it anymore, whatever. Time to wait for the next inspiration train to come around. Like, no, if you feel it, just sit, get it out, brain dump it. Sometimes I've sent voice messages to myself just with the idea. And then when you have a minute, whether it's, in your early morning routine or after your kids go to bed, then just like summarize on it, jot it down, things like that. And then do it the next day or the day after. It's not, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. What was the next one? Show up in all areas. So don't stay focused on just Instagram stories. Don't stay focused just on your Instagram feed or just your Facebook feed. Just kind of do it all in the same place. But again, it can be the same kind of thing. Summarize your content. I just said that. Oh, summarize your content. Yep. And then look at it kind of like an archive. Like I said, like when your memories pop up, or your Instagram memories pop up, or somebody comes to it a month later and they see your thing. So kind of look at it as like an archive for the future, right? Like it feels a little bit less pressure when we're kind of looking at it kind of like a scrapbook of this moment that you are in your journey. Because here's the thing is, if that video didn't pop up, I might show this to you guys. Like it's literally 10 seconds. I might show you a little bit to see the difference. But like if these things didn't pop up, I wouldn't see how much I've grown, right? So many times we wait to show up and we wait to step out of our comfort zone, or we wait to do things because we're not at this level, or we're not a professional at this, or we feel like we're not killing it yet. But the thing is that if you don't document that, how are you ever going to know where you started? How are you ever going to know where you came from, right? So start thinking about the future. Be like, I want to see in 3 years where I was right now. So celebrate the celebrations, share the struggles, share the wins that you have, like share freaking all of it, because what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Somebody says you're sharing too much. So who freaking cares? And then here's the thing too, is that if you are consistent with this and you find your kind of groove and you start getting tips too, then when you sign people up on your team, they're going to be the same way. They're going to be like, I have people who say that all the time. You know what's funny, guys, is the most coaches that I've signed up in January and February, this is actually really funny that I'm talking about this. All the coaches pretty much that I've signed up in January, February are my previous coaches or challengers from 2016 and 2017. Like literally, I'm talking, yeah, back when I was consistent and back when I was sharing myself. And I got rid of it for a while. And then I started doing it again, and I'm attracting all these people again because I'm showing up as myself with that energy again. You know what I'm saying? Granted, the last couple of years have been really rough for me personally, but like that's the thing, is I got up all in my head. Once I got out of my head, I started attracting people back to me for the reason that they were attracted to me in the first place. And that was because I was showing up, being consistent, being myself, not shying away from the hard stuff like that, you know? So anyway, I'm going to just show you guys this really quick. This is 4 years ago, if you can see how awkward I am.
To help you get started. And some of you guys might know these things already. Personally, I didn't know more than
like just so I was doing 21-day fix tips. Like, but that's the thing, is like, you feel like, well, I don't look like this person's social media, or I don't look like this person, or I'm not the best at this, so I'm just going to send them somebody else's video or do like something like that, or I'm just going to wait till I'm better, or I feel like I'm more prepared. Don't. Just do it. Take messy, imperfect action. If you guys listen to Keisha Fitzgerald's podcast, she says that a lot, but it's so true. Just take messy, imperfect action, because the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to be a little bit ahead of where you were, right? Best case scenario, you freaking like momentum, you skyrocket up, but worst case scenario, you just step forward a little bit and you learn, and then you step forward a little bit and you learn, and you step forward a little bit and you learn, versus staying exactly where you are, waiting for some like magical fairy dust to come down and sprinkle all the motivation and sprinkle all the success. And that's not how it works. So show up as you are, where you are, and just, I don't know, stay consistent with it. That was scattered, and I think that's all I have.
Love it. No, I took down so many notes. One thing that was huge was the Facebook, like Instagram, like, because that's something I think a lot of us get so caught up on, is like thinking everything has to be perfect and thinking that it has to look okay. And I just thought that was huge. And then also duplication in the wrong ways. Like, oh my gosh, like if we're showing people that we are not doing the right, like, or overthinking, then yeah, we're making it harder than it is. We talk about simplicity, we talk about keeping it simple, but sometimes when we get consumed, what do you analysis paralysis, when we get consumed like that, then we're showing that it's hard. So I loved that. Gosh, does anyone have any questions for Larissa?
I'm an open book.
Or if a lot of people tuning in from work, I already know, like, I'm seeing some of the names. I know a lot. That's why there's not a lot of faces. But gosh, Larissa, this was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Happy to help. Thank you guys for having me. If anybody has any questions or anything, like, feel free to reach out on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that. I'm happy to answer.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm gonna share that. I'll send you this recording when I put it on YouTube in case you want, because this was a killer. This was killer. So I know sometimes it's easier to talk to our other teams, and so I'm gonna share this with you because I think it's something you're gonna want to make sure you share with your team too.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye guys. Thanks for all hopping on.